NamRA Kachenu, 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 NamRA Kachenu. We are
NamRA, serving with passion.
Hello and welcome to this edition of NamRA Kachenu, where the focus is more on tax, customs and excise matters. I'm Shipena Jambi Kuhanga and very much honored to be in your company for the next half an hour or so. In recent developments, NamRA takes education to high institutions. Next, we have the Customs Advanced Training on Rules of Origin Africa. All that and more coming to you in a while. Stay tuned. The Namibia Revenue Agency, NamRA, in collaboration with the Namibia University of Science and Technology, NUST, as well as the University of Namibia, UNAM, hosted educational sessions at those institutions. Now, the sessions covered tax type, compliance, and calculation principles while exploring the customs and excise mandates and the e-commerce procedures for calculating duties on goods.
And remember, the knowledge gained here today has the power to transform your financial landscape and pave the way for a more secure future. So once again, I extend to you a warm welcome. May this session be enlightening and enriching as we strive towards greater financial literacy and empowerment. Thank you.
If you are owing, your employer is supposed to submit employees tax return every month. So before, for your salary of this month, next month is supposed to submit this return to say,
Excise Office shall use information technology, electronic commerce, and other technologies to enhance customs procedures and customs controls.
It's usually mandatory for every person in the country who's gaining an income from the country, or it can be from a business, or let's say we also have some levies or some charges that we put on transactions, like when you buy goods and services.
For an informal business, what happens if they don't pay their taxes?
Gentlemen, welcome to the University of Namibia Accounting Society with the Namibian Revenue Agency collaboration for this educational session that we have today. I hope you all feel welcomed and have your seats because we will be starting soon. But just to start off the program, my name is Mati Jimmy Mulokoshi and I am the Vice President of the UNAM Accounting Society and I will be the Director of Proceedings for today.
This marks the first of the 4 sessions, educational sessions, that the UNAM Accounting Society has undertaken to work collaboratively with the Namibia Revenue Agency to just inform university students about domestic taxes, customs and exercises, pretty much what the Namibia Revenue Agency organization does. And it's in this very same vein that I want to outline how crucial it is for university students to understand the customs and exercises. And the reason why I say this is because these customs and exercises impact international trade, especially considering now that most of us are, having this side hustle, so we are into, what do they call it? They call it order with me. So if you are one of those that actually do this order with me, I think this is actually a platform, or this is actually one of the platforms that I actually urge you to listen very well and engage with our presenters and facilitators here with us today.
Today we are here to talk about the Department of Customs and Excise. And from our presentation outline, we are having the introduction, we have the legal framework, then we talked about our mandate as Customs and Excise. Sorry, go back. Then we will talk about the structure of the Department of Customs and Excise. Then we will talk about different taxes and duties being administered now under the Department of Customs and Excise. We will also talk about the method of calculating those duties and taxes. And we will do 1 or 2 calculations just for you to understand.
About 5,400 goods that are traded internationally. So those goods include your, and I like that, includes your hair, for example, the ladies, the wigs, it includes this.
On the 15th to the 19th of April 2024, the European Union and the World Customs Organization's Rules of Origin Africa program recently led an advanced training on rules of origin. Now, the session, which was attended by customs and excise officials from various regional offices, marked a significant stride in fostering a well-informed customs system in Africa.
Well, you may liken it with where we are here in NamRA. There's rules and the regulations that we respect. So equally the same in terms of the treatment of goods that traverse our borders. We should understand the origin of goods. What are they in terms of manufacture, the accumulations? We should be able to understand. Why, if we don't understand that, remember, we are parties to other countries. And equally as well, NamRA have been established for the purpose of generating revenue for the state. We may lose out of that. We've had, I like giving this example, of the chicken industry. The chicken that have been imported from other countries who are not part of the agreement, that they are manipulated and imported into our local, and they enjoy that preference. Unless if we understand, we'll be able to detect all these goods, that they are not from the countries that are part to the agreement.
Then how can you say the goods are consigned for a specific country?
They are originating in the EU. Because the EU is the one who has signed the agreement. Yes. So exactly, it cannot be indicated a specific country.
When we return, we'll be joined by Mr. Etuwete Nashima, who's the Manager for Assets and Facilities within the Corporate Services Department at NamRA. Stay tuned.
NamRA Kachenu, NamRA Kachenu.
Welcome back. We are now joined by Mr. Etuwete Nashima, the Manager for Assets and Facilities within the Corporate Services Department at NamRA. Well, good day, Mr. Nashima, and welcome to NamRA Kachenu.
Good morning and thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Mr. Nashima, could you please share with us your professional background and what led you to join the NamRA team?
Thank you. My name is Etuwete Nashima, as you mentioned. Born and raised in a village called Etuwete in the Musante regions. I was raised there. I went to school there. I was lucky. My parents could understand the importance of education. They made sure I attend school, but they made sure that I only attend school in the north. I only moved to Windhoek after grade 12. Yes, coming to Windhoek, I managed to complete a bachelor degree in quantity surveying and a postgraduate in project management and a certificate in facility management. I've worked for consulting firms, quantity surveying firms. I've also worked for City of Windhoek, facility management sections, and I've also worked for Ministry of Works and Transport, capital project departments. My involvement in quantity surveying firm was, I worked as an intern quantity surveyor until at a time I've registered as a professional quantity surveyor with the Council of Quantity Surveying Architect in Namibia. I think I have registered 5 years ago, and at the moment I still registered as a quantity surveyor. I'm working at NamRA as a manager of assets and facility, still keeping my registration with the council. And I also serve on the board for the Institute of Quantity Surveyors in Namibia. Yes, working as an intern in quantity surveying, we focus on project management, contract administration, project cost, and advice. I've managed to complete projects that are mostly for, yes, a combination of private clients that are mostly profit-driven, and also projects for government, that almost deals with service delivery. I think that most of the projects that motivate me much were the projects that are focused on service delivery. Because the focus there is on always keep in mind the end users, because the need started from the end users. They demanded the services. We make sure that we provide services to them. Yes, I joined NamRA, I think in April 2023 as a student facility manager. It's the same still on service delivery. I had a background of what the position was all about. My time at Works also informed me that yes, when NamRA was established, they were still operating from Ministry of Finance buildings. And those buildings are still owned by Ministry of Works because they're a custodian of government infrastructure. Yes, I'm aware the building has their own challenges in terms of maintenance. I just wanted to join NamRA and make a positive impact and make sure that we provide infrastructure that are safe and conducive to NamRA employee. I want to make contribution to that.
Thank you so much for that. Now, while on that, could you please provide us with a brief background of your role as the manager for assets and facilities, particularly looking at the main task that you handle on a daily basis?
The main task for us in facility department is to ensure that NamRA staff operates from a conducive environment, to make sure that our office are well taken care of. We are in compliance with the Open Health and Safety Act, and we also make sure that and also deal with space management. Yes, we are aware of the challenges of the space management because we have visited all our offices countrywide. Taking numbers, we have about 48 offices countrywide. And what we picked up from these offices, that the offices are overcrowded. It's the issue that we are aware of. We have noted it and we are working on that. But they're also requesting from the colleagues from these offices that are overcrowded is just to notify us, send us requests. At the moment, the challenge that we have, the facilities are owned by Ministry of Finance, and we cannot do structural change to this facility until the facilities are properly transferred to NamRA. The process of transferring assets to NamRA is ongoing. We've been working on this since November last year with the Ministry of Works and Ministry of Finance. We are tasked to finalize that transfer report by June, but at the end of the day, it still will go to Cabinet for approval. Once Cabinet gives us approval, then we can do structural changes to these facilities. At the moment, our task is just to make sure that the properties are well maintained. That's the only task that we are doing at the moment. However, if there is a need for colleagues to request for more office spaces, they are welcome to search for whatever building that they can find a town that they're operating from. Send out that a request, we do an assessment on that, and depending on the available budget and input from legal department, we will authorize them to hire any property that they feel they can hire within that offices as well. Yes, we're also aware that NamRA expanding, there's also a need to open more satellite office countywide. It's the same request for the user department to engage us that we have these needs. We need to open satellite offices. Then once we engage that, we can give them a go ahead. Yes, we can open up satellite offices in that offices. Those are mostly our laws as a facility managers. And then another thing that also had to do that the challenge that we're having is maintenance. It's something that is bothering us as well. Looking at our department is also understaffed. Currently, we are only 6, but we're in a process of expanding that department at least to 15 people. So we are not responsive in the way we should have been responsive. We are fully aware of that. We are in the process of, we have engaged, we are communicating with procurement department. We are trying to have maintenance service level agreements with different suppliers. We need to have service providers in our databases. If there are maintenance challenges, we will know who to call. As much as we are in Windhoek and people are in Katima or wherever they are, they can engage those that we have employed to work on our behalf, and we attend to the maintenance issues.
Now, we understand that you were involved in the Trans-Kalahari project, right? How do you anticipate that impacting our clients and staff that are operating at the border?
The establishment of one-stop border post at Trans-Kalahari Mamuno, it's one of the national key projects. It emanates from the binational agreement signed by the two heads of state, our late President Hage Geingob and President Masisi of Botswana. It started off with the implementation of 24 operations, effective 1st of April 2023, to be followed by the establishment of one-stop border post, which is supposed to be effective 1st of May 2024. But I will explain the challenges. We will not implement it 1st of May. We have requested for extension for 2 months. On that project, when it was implemented for 24 operations, the first project that we did, phase 1, was to build more accommodations for staff that are going now to operate in the 24 operations. The good part with this is it reduces congestions at the border. It also provides smooth trade facilitation to our traders. So we have built 21 accommodations for staff that has been employed now for the 24 operations. And these are just not NamRA staffs. NamRA was tasked by the 2 head of state to be implementing the agency. So we have built 21 houses, of which NamRA only occupies 10. The rest are occupied by Immigration, Ministry of Home Affairs, and RFA. So from the accommodation, we move to creating of enough offices that will also cater for the Botswana colleagues and for the expansion of more colleagues that are going to be employed now. The good part of this is that we have more numbers now in terms of staff, not just for NamRA, but for other border agencies, which also reduce the overload that we had, because colleagues now were working overtimes, but now the workload on their part has been reduced. The good part of providing more office establishment is we can now provide a better service delivery to our clients. Trucks are services fast because we now have 2 buildings that catered for passengers and that also cater for commercials. If you're on a commercial site, you don't go through passengers terminal. You go to commercial buildings. If you're just a passenger and a tourist, you go to a passengers terminal. It's much faster compared to what we're doing now when we have everyone queuing up in the same queue. Commercials, they're queuing up with the passengers. And a passenger, you just want to stamp and move. You have nothing to declare. Now you were delayed because of that. But through this implementation, we will separate the 2. It's not just good for NamRA employees, it's also good for customers, because now the process is smooth, it's faster. They will receive their goods on time. There's no delay anymore at the border.
Thank you so much. Now, the recent satisfaction survey highlights that clients complained about the limited office space, as well as the need for refreshments at various service centers. What are the steps that you are taking to remedy the situation?
On office space, we have engaged several departments that have also requested to be allowed to raise out offices. And we have given them ahead what we told them: look at the facility where you are, identify 3 potential buildings, but we must make sure those buildings are accessible to our taxpayers. Once you do that, then they do a procurement submission through our offices. We will look at the submission, we process it, then we send it to procurement for procuring of additional spaces. In terms of refreshments, yes, we have engaged communication department on that because the survey was done through them. We are still going to continue engaging. It's the same thing. We still want to provide services to our taxpayer. So after engagement, we come up with a way forward. But it still has to go through procurement, maybe procure a vendor machine for our taxpayers that will put in our custom care centers countrywide, not just in Vindu, but countrywide.
Thank you so much. As we conclude this session, do you have any final thoughts or message that you would like to share with our audience?
Yes, to our external stakeholders, our duty, we need to provide conducive environment to our taxpayers. If you feel there's a need to open up an office in the town that you are, please engage NamRA in all platforms to put up a request to us. We'll examine that request and then we'll see how we can attend to that. Additionally, to our internal colleagues as well, in terms of maintenance issue, you don't have to wait for the facility to come to your regions. Send us a request, send us information that we have a pipe-based, there's a maintenance need to our office. We can address that, but it all has to do with availability of budget that we have. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Nashima. That was very informative.
Thank you.
All right, then. Now, that was Mr. Etuwete Nashima, the Manager for Assets and Facilities within the Corporate Services Department at NamRA. We'll be back after a short break. Stay tuned.
NamRA Kachenu, NamRA Kachenu.
Now, let's focus on the procedures for applying for exemptions, eligible items for exemption, and the overall process for returning students who are studying abroad.
Good day. My name is Benedict Likando. I'm from NamRA Legal Services. Today I'll speak to you about rebates, and these specific rebates I'm going to talk about concern returning residents, students, and permanent resident holders who were outside of the country who wish to return back to Namibia and they want to bring back their household goods. The procedure that has to be followed when one wants to come back with their household items is that you firstly need to write to the Commissioner for NamRA, Mr. Sam Shivute. In that letter, you need to specify that you seek to return your goods to Namibia. So what we require from you is that you need to list those items. Firstly, you need to attach your ID or your passport. You need to attach your marriage certificate. You need to attach your study permit, or at least proof that you were working outside of the country, or whatever purpose you were outside of the country. You need to provide that to us so that we can then verify. When you are returning with a vehicle, you also need to show us that that vehicle was registered in a foreign country. So we need that proof of that vehicle as well. So a full inventory of what you are returning with needs to be provided to us, and then we'll then make a determination as to whether you qualify for an exemption in terms of rebate 407.06 of Schedule 4 to the Customs and Excise Act. Once we have granted you that rebate, you need to further also obtain another rebate from Masikuda World. It's a code that will allow you to then bring those goods into Namibia. It's preferable that you actually apply ahead of time before you come to Namibia, so that you avoid any inconvenience, because those who apply towards the end might have to wait because there are quite a number of applications. So therefore we encourage our clients to actually apply ahead of time before returning back to the country. With that, I also want to just provide you with a bit of information regarding temporary importation permits, which are accorded to Namibians or permanent resident holders and students, as well as tourists, when they are bringing in goods into Namibia for a short period of time. For instance, maybe students studying in one of the SADC countries perhaps want to come and visit their relatives into Namibia. They may come with their goods, but they'll be provided with an exemption, and that is a temporary import permit for 90 days. Should those 90 days exceed, they require another additional permit from the Commissioner for NamRA, and they need to approach the Commissioner for that permission so that they can not incur penalties for overstaying. Thank you for listening. You can reach us at legalservices@namra.org.na.
In the next insert, we'll look at the declaration of goods for returning residents.
Good day. My name is Alistair Markovits, Senior Customs and Excise Officer, Hosea Kutako International Airport, Passenger Control. Today I'll be educating you on the declaration of returning residents who are brought under rebate item 40706. 40706 is under our Customs and Excise Act 20 of 1998, Schedule 4, Part 1. It consists of household furniture, other household effects, and removable articles, including equipment necessary for the exercising of the person's trade and profession, other than industrial, commercial, and agricultural, which is excluded. It also excludes motor vehicles, alcoholic beverages, and also tobacco goods. Under this rebate 40706, there are a number of conditions. A bona fide property of a natural person returning after an absence of 6 months to the Republic of Namibia, a change of his or her residence to the Republic of Namibia, provided that these goods are not disposed of in 6 months of entry. Some examples of household effects. This might be your or electrical appliances, your television, your stove. Other examples are your caravan, trailers. This will normally fall under your removable articles. Tools of trade, it's normally, for example, your cameras that you use as a photographer or as an artisan tools that you use. On a point of entry, there is documents that we require, which is normally after you have been approved, your exemption letter has been approved and signed by the commissioner. It will form part of your supporting documents when a declaration is framed. Your copy of your stamp passport at the day of entry is also needed. Your rebate code is loaded by our Sikuda system, which will be under 0100, and also your inventory list, which is very important. There is also need for your work permit and your study permit status, which will be endorsed in your passport. There is a commodity code that is used under 9999020, which is for used and second-hand household effects. I thank you.
Here is the trivia of duties.
Did you know? According to the Income Tax Act 24 of 1981 as amended, Namibia has a source-based tax system. Income from a source within Namibia or deemed to be within Namibia will be subject to tax in Namibia, unless a specific exemption is available. Individual income tax is computed based on income received. It is usually classified as a direct tax because the burden is on the individuals who pay it. Taxpayers are assessed on their taxable income, which is derived by deducting exempt income and allowable deductions from gross income.
NamRA, serving with passion.
Do you want to make a payment for tax debt? Well, here are the available options for payment.
My name is Angela Kamui, Senior Revenue Treasury Officer at NamRA. I'm going to take you through the process of making payments to our NamRA offices. We have 4 modes of payments which are acceptable at our offices, which are direct deposits, cash payments, electronic fund transfers, and speed points machines. When making electronic fund transfers, we have 2 accounts available for our taxpayers, which is Receiver of Revenue, account 165001, and the VAT dedicated account 165060. When making a direct deposit, our taxpayers need to fill this deposit slip at their commercial bank. You need to have your TIN with you. The TIN consists of 8 characters, and then you should also know the period that you are making the payment for. When making an electronic fund transfer, for your penalty or interest liability due to NamRA, you use the EFT referencing example as shown on the screen. It also has 19 characters, but on the tax type and tax period, you put 999, indicating that the payment is account payment. When making electronic fund transfers, EFT referencing example is shown on the screen, which comprises of 19 characters. The taxpayer reference number comprises of 5 parameters, which are as follows. 1. Represent the payment method, in this case, EFT payment. 06. Office of registration or your return office. The 8th character represents your tax identification number. 14 is tax type, in this case, employees tax. 2018-06 is the tax period for which the payment is meant for.
In our previous episode, we asked, which goods does a Euro 1 apply to? Kindly note that the certificate is free and it only applies to goods exported to European countries. Here are a few examples: copper, fish, coffee, tea, spices, and miscellaneous chemical products, amongst others. Our question for this episode is, what are the documents required when applying for exemption as a returning student who are studying abroad? Do email your answer to NamRA Kachenu at namra.org.na. The due date for submission is the 9th of May 2024. The winner will be announced in the next episode.
And with that, we conclude this edition of NamRA Kachenu. We trust that the information shared has been valuable and insightful. Join us again in 2 weeks' time for more updates, but until then, stay informed and compliant. Goodbye.
Serving with passion.